Good. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. The Jimmy LaFave set list. LaFave never would use a set list, so I thought I would like stay in that mode. So anyway, I'm Valerie Den. I became Val Den when I met Jimmy LaFave, and after I kind of jokingly told him that, you know, after he died, I was going to go back to Valerie, and I have. So most people, but you're allowed, anyone that knows me as Val I'm still Val, but when I'm introduced to people now, and it's kind of like a marker in my life, because Jimmy and I worked together for over 22 years, and I came to him as Valerie Den, and he decided that my name was Val Den. So, so that was kind of like a marker in my life, and was that once he passed, I was going to go back to Valerie. So it's been an interesting transition, and I sometimes forget and refer to myself as Val. So, but I am both. But one of the things, Jimmy, for those of you that were at the Paramount show in Austin, know that it was magic, and an incredible, Christine, myself, and Eliza, and everybody, the Austin community came together and put together this incredible tribute to him that was almost became a memorial in the sense that he passed about 36 or so hours later. And we kind of joked that he got to come to, he asked us after it was over that, so when you do the memorial, like, will it maybe be at the Moody Theater? And we were just like, no, dude, you don't get it. Like, you came to your memorial. You were there. And in the end of Jimmy's life, he became he showed us how to live. He showed us how what dying's like. And so for those of us that were great, close friends, and even if you weren't, if he had crossed you, he called you to let you know, hey, if I ever said something or did something that was unkind, he told you he loved you, and he was very clear with me. And I will share one of it because this weekend when I go to hug people, some people have been like, whoa. But Jimmy at the end of his life was very clear about hugging. He kept saying to me, and I don't know if he said it to you, he said it, he was on a mission that when you hug someone, he says, really, really, it's the most important thing, but when you do it, really mean it. Like, really do it. Like, don't just do the high focal lines, like, oh, hey. And I experimented with it from the moment I landed here and began to see people, that I was really conscious that when I went to hug them, that I really breathed their essence, I guess, in, and that I thought of Jimmy as I hugged them, and that I really meant it. So as you're going around this weekend, and there's people here that I'm friends with because of Jimmy, and when I think of the people I met through him, so this is, I guess, his memorial, and there was a few things that he wanted, and so we'll do a few of those things, but I did want to, Jamie's got was one of the things that Jimmy loved was finding new young songwriters and telling the whole world about them. And I think Jamie, you were probably in the last wave of the songwriters that Jimmy was on a mission for. So, Jamie.
This is Anthony DaCosta.
As we circle around the sun, yes, I'm living on land. Yes, I live in your land, sand and sea, sand down. Oh, sand and sea, baby, stand down.
Two members of the Night Track, Restless and Anthony DeCosta. Thank you guys so much.
The other thing that Jimmy did a lot, and actually even on one of my records, was he loved doing duets. And do you want to do this, say it, or you want me to introduce it all? Or? I'll say something. Yeah.
So, hi, I'm Laurie McCallister. I've had a handful of angels in my music career. One of them is standing right over there, Miss Cheryl Prashker. She came up to me at an open mic in like 1997 and said she would help me make my first demo. And Jimmy was another angel for me. I was at the Folk Alliance, my first Folk Alliance in 2000 in Cleveland, and I didn't know anybody. And I started talking with him at the dining hall, and he introduced me to you that like 10 minutes later. And I met a lot of people that way, and it salvaged my Folk Alliance, let's put it that way. I was kind of alone and scared, and Jimmy changed that for me. When it came time for me to make a new solo record last year, I reached out to Jimmy because I'd had a fantasy of making some duets with my favorite male singers, and he was at the top, and he said, absolutely, I'd love to do it. So in April of last year, he recorded a song with me, and I put it on my new CD, and yeah, I'm gonna play it for you now. I've got the Alexa, let's see if this works. You can continue the show until I get it going. I might need them too. Is it good? Can you hear it? No one talk to her.
You only know what I want you to. I know everything you don't want me to. Your mouth is poison. Your mouth is wine. You think your dreams are the same as mine. Oh, I don't love you, but I always will. I don't love you, but I always will. I don't love you, but I always will. I always will. I wish you'd hold me when I turn my back. The less I give, the more I get back. Your hands can heal, your hands can bruise.
Yeah, LaFave did that. So for those of you that don't know, you got it all. This is Christine Albert. About 7 weeks before Jimmy passed, I had this brilliant idea because he had never played the Paramount like on his own. It was always like a guest of someone that, you know, we should do a tribute at the Paramount. And I called Jody Denberg, a DJ who had been instrumental in helping so many Austin musicians get radio play and build their careers. And Christine was one of his oldest friends from the Austin when he first got there, and called Christine. And I have thanked you over and over again, but thousands of hours were put into community-wise for us all to make and pull off the Paramount show. But 500 of those 1,000 hours was Christine and her husband, Chris, who was the musical director and just took it on like I can't even begin to tell you. So, and he absolutely adored Christine. And I can remember when I got to Austin, it was like the Austin guys. It was part of our peeps. So.
It was one of the privileges of my life to be, even though I've been close to Jimmy for many years, our lives would sort of diverge and then come back together. And a few years before he died, we had started a weekly tradition called Mystery Monday in Austin. And Sarah Elizabeth Campbell was my co-host. Then we lost her about a year later, and Jimmy was always there. And then Jimmy became sort of my other co-host, Jimmy LaFave and Jimmy Dale Gilmore, and then now Bill Kirchen. And it was right in his neighborhood. So every Monday night I started seeing him, and then we totally reconnected through that. And then in the last year of his life, of course, being very involved. And I do want to say one thing that illustrated to me the depth of his character and his generosity was, I have a nonprofit called Swan Songs that fulfills musical last wishes. So people can request their favorite style of music or a local musician, and we bring that to them, and very specific requests. And in June, the year before Jimmy died in May, this was the previous June, we had a request for Jimmy LaFave. It wasn't the first one. A huge fan of his who was dying of cancer and asked if Jimmy would come play for her. And Jimmy's diagnosis had just been pretty confirmed, and the prognosis was not good. But we were all still sort of holding out hope. Every month it was like, maybe this will work. And I called him and I said, this is really hard. This is a very difficult time to ask you this, and it may not be something that you're ready to do, but we've had a request. Do you want to do a swan song? And he was like, of course I do. I've got to go to MD Anderson, and then I'm going to play for 2 weeks, and then I have to go back for more tests, and then, so it might take a while, but I want to do it. So we finally did the Swan Songs concert in July, and it was this room, this woman with all of her really close, it was like this little band of women that were just huge LaFave fans. And they were so thrilled to have him in that living room. And Jesse LaFave, his nephew, came and played with him. And I had met Jesse, but barely knew him. And sitting there and watching that and knowing what was going on with Jimmy, I was like, well, wow, I can't believe this. And it's really beautiful. And it became more and more significant to me because we've gotten really close with Jesse, my husband Chris and I. Jesse's like one of our kids now after going through all this together. But for those, I heard from every one of those women after Jimmy's diagnosis was made public, because they didn't know. And they said, I can't believe this. You know, they were just felt so bonded to him from coming that day. Oh no. Oh, great. I don't have his dark.
You went.
Yeah, that's on the right fret too.
Okay.
All right.
Try
Here, I'll just use Gretchen. Can you mute this? Thank you. Thank you. All right, so, Brad, Anthony, we're gonna do Buffalo Return to the Plains. The other thing, I knew a lot of Jimmy's songs, but after he died, for some reason, every time I turned on my computer, this song would pop up, and I was like, where is this coming from? And I just kept getting these messages. There's a couple other things that I won't even go into that were really profound. I thought, okay, I need to learn this song. And every time I sing it now, it feels like him speaking to us. I just love it. So I don't do I go to the 5 quicker than you think. So this is
Again, you keep saying stuff like that like we
But like it matters.
Ever.
Lonesome travelers and rambling types, shuffling down some unknown trail tonight. Over jungles and your boxcar dreams, living only by your ways and means. Carry on and remain. A new light shines upon you once again. Carry on and remain. Buffalo return to the plain. Turn it around. Sing. Midnight rounders that leave no rest. Gypsy hearts beating wildly in your chest. One step ahead of the rules and laws. Oh brother, dear brother, you've seen it all, but you carry on and remain. Let your spirit rise above the pain. Carry on and remain. Buffalo return to play.
end slideshow, in the middle slideshow, in the beginning. We're going to do the slideshow now. It's incredibly beautiful and moving, and if you haven't moved into that next phase, this would be the time. I was so happy that Jimmy got to see. We gathered pictures, all of us, dropping them in a Dropbox, and Christina Fajardo compiled this for us. And so, I mean, like 5 days ago, I'm like, whoa, we should add stuff that happened, like since we did it from the Paramount and everything. And so we kind of reworked it a little bit, but I want to share it with you.
Can I say one thing?
Please.
One of the things that Christina said, I had to put in all those photos of the performers, because one thing that Jimmy asked for, he had very specific ideas about the show, was to have, as each performer came out, he wanted a photo of them with him to establish his relationship. He said, it's not just the music, I wanted these people because of my friendship and my bond with them, and he wanted that to be expressed. And so we took photos. Christina created a slide of each artist with Jimmy and these special photos that were shown behind them. There was one artist that he didn't really have a photo with Jimmy, and you'll see, I don't know if that's in there or not, that was so great, shiny ribs. But anyway, so Christina said, I just had to put those in there so people could see the vision that he wanted for that show and how well it worked out.
And that even though like I had like began to rolling and get this together, and Christine and Chris were like the music things, Jimmy produced this show, and at the point that we actually began to feel guilty because we were like, you're stressing, he was like, we kept thinking we were stressing him out, and here he was like really dying. And in the end, I don't know if it was, I think it might have even been him. He said to me, if it wasn't this, I would be changing having new tires put on a car, which is exactly what he actually did do like a week before as well. But it gave him, I mean, I really had felt a little guilty toward the end, because we all did. We were like, wow, he's really like, it was very clear what he wanted, and got sometimes even agitated with us, because in the end he was not feeling great, and we had a lot of laughs around it too, because it was like, really LaFave? And he was like, that's what so it was like, no, you're not doing that song, you're doing this song. So it was actually quite a lot of fun, because we did get to work together with him. But anyway, I don't know if we should do lights off or just keep them lights off. Yeah, so we can kind of go to our own little.
Oh yeah, move. Kept a mic in the way.
Oh.
That's someone that hasn't had back surgery get up and
One of Mike's is in the.
Oh, you're warning me while I'm in buckets of tears that I get to go after.
LaFave would have wanted the segue, so I'm just pre-warning you.
Okay.
The segue after the slide. Get lights off? Get the lights off?
Reminds me of a dream. She was standing in the kitchen with her face turned towards the ceiling, eyes close to the yellow light. And from a battered guitar came a sound like the angels are weeping for all the restless spirits in the night. I don't know how long I stood there seemed like a many, many lifetimes. Then I felt the load just lifting away. And walking down the alley, I was feeling so much better. I knew that I could take another day. She was standing in the kitchen with her face turned towards the ceiling, eyes closed but still they held such a light. And from her battered guitar came a sound like angels weeping for all the restless spirits in the night. Yeah, for reasons that don't matter, I was walking down an alley, heard some music coming through a screen, and without really thinking, I walked over to the window, to a scene reminds me of a dream. She was standing in the kitchen with her face turned towards the ceiling, eyes closed till they held the light. And from a battered guitar came a sound like the angels weeping for all the restless spirits in the night. Yeah, from a battered guitar came a sound like the angels weeping for all the restless spirits in the night. For all the restless spirits in the night. Go to sleep, my weary princess. Let the miles roll you away out to this place on the prairie where we'll reach the end of the day. Close your eyes, you're going home. Close your eyes. Don't you worry, 'cause I'm right beside you. You can dream a peaceful dream. This road is long, yeah, but I don't worry, 'cause you cause my heart to sing. You're going home, close your eyes, you're going home. You may wake up, baby, and find me driving with a teardrop in my eyes. It's from the happiness inside me. And the reason why is you and I. Christmas angel. Night is fallen, day is gone. Your brown eyes will sparkle in the sunrise and dance beside the dawn. Close your eyes, you're going home. Close your eyes, you're going home. Close your eyes, you're going home. You're going home. Close your eyes, you're going home.
Okay, so the other thing that Jimmy LaFave did was when I started my agency, Jimmy and I, our first gig I booked him was a Texas to Toronto tour, landing in Toronto for Folk Alliance, and it was at Folk Alliance at the, it's some, of course, LaFave, a pizza place, that he asked me to be his agent, which would have been 1997, at Folk Alliance, and that was the Folk Alliance where I met Sue Martinez, and Nora Guthrie, and Dave Marsh, and the Byrne sisters, and Jimmy began connecting me to his peeps. And one of the things he loved doing was helping me build my agency, because he was all about inclusiveness and having, like, you know, a team and everything. And one of the best things he ever did, him and Tom Russell, both, who was on my roster at the time, was make sure that I knew Gretchen Peters' music. And I had to spend, not that I had to, I enjoyed it, but I lived 4 hours from Stanfest up in near Halifax, outside of Halifax. And Tom Russell had just gotten had come back from England with Gretchen's record. And we listened to it for 4 hours straight, driving up to Stanfest and back. Because he just had to collect every note, and LaFave was like, he had certain songs that he was out of his mind about, and I think this was his favorite song, just hands down, his favorite song to sing. Gretchen Peters, my client for a billion years, because of LaFave.
Because of Jimmy. Maybe I should. Okay, I'll just say a few words because there's, you know, I met him because he cut this song initially. I met him in Nashville at the Bluebird Cafe. He never did another Nashville gig after that, I don't think. He didn't come through. Well, the Bluebird Cafe has its pros and cons, but he was coming through and he had recorded this song, and I was just, who is this guy? Where did that voice come from? So I went down and heard him play it, met the guys in the band that night, met Jimmy, and it was the beginning of, I wouldn't be at Folk Alliance, I wouldn't have been at Kerrville, I wouldn't have met Val. I can't tell you how many doors he opened up for me. And at the time I was not feeling like I fit in where I was, and he kind of knew where I needed to be and guided me there with a very firm and opinionated hand. And God bless him, cut a couple of my songs. And when I'm playing this one, I refer to it as a Jimmy LaFave song that I happened to write.
Minnesota, I thought I saw you there, with the snow falling down around you like a silent prayer. getting to the good part, just getting past the mystery. Oh, and it's just like you, it's just like you to disagree. And it's strange, but it's true. You just slipped out of view like a face in the crowd. All of us to St. Cloud. And you chase me like a shadow, and you haunt me like a ghost. And I hate you some, and I love you some, but I miss you most. On a bus to St. Cloud, Minnesota, I thought I saw you there, with the snow falling down around you like a silent prayer.
My first Folk Alliance, Chris and I went to Albuquerque in 1999 at Jimmy's urging. It really is amazing how he lit a fire under people and said, you need to do this, and what it led to for all of us. But I wanted to share, right before we started, I texted Ashley Warren, Jimmy's partner for many years, and Barb Fox, his ex-wife and the mother of his son Jackson, and Jesse, his nephew, and Rachel, Jesse's wife. I just told them, thinking about you, we're about to remember Jimmy here at Folk Alliance, and they all responded, so I wanted to just read you from Barb, because they're all talking about Jimmy's relationship with Folk Alliance. From Barb, Jackson's mom, he really enjoyed Folk Alliance every year. He had so many close friends that he got to see there. One year when Jackson was 2 or 3, Folk Alliance was in Austin, and Jimmy was thrilled because he got to take Jackson and show him off to all his friends. I remember that. I remember seeing him there. And Jesse, his nephew, said, I can picture him in the lobby holding court with his huge jug of tea. Which is very true. And then Ashley said, thinking of you all as you remember him, I wish I was there for the reunion. So I just wanted to let you know that his family is very present here today.
I wanted to say one thing, two things. One, it was 2 years ago that I was at Folk Alliance that Jimmy asked me to feel something on his chest. It was about the size of a pea. And he says, feel this, Val. And I go, yeah, you should have that checked out. In May, we were at the Cherokee Creek Music Festival, and it was the size of a walnut. And he goes, man, this thing is really big. He goes, I'm getting it checked out Monday. I said, yeah, I think so. And on Tuesday, he called, and he's like, man, I got in there, and it's not looking good. And one of the things he did say over and over, he goes, I never get good news. I'm never getting good news along the way. And the most the kind of cancer he had was spindle cell sarcoma. It's it's a connective tissue cancer. It's incredibly rare. And you begin to wonder why certain people come into your life and what does it all mean. But one of the things that was incredible was that Dave Marsh came into our lives early on in our relationship. And Dave had lost his daughter, who at the time was 22 or 20, who died at 22 years old of this exact same cancer. So it was amazing how we had this wealth of information. And then there's also these people that, like, you know, Jimmy's friends that were the musicians in his life, but I really want to introduce and talk about Dr. John. I love you so much, and I say this from Jimmy to you and from me to you. From the time it was diagnosed in May at Cherokee Creek Music Festival, where we were, the next day, Dr. John and his wife Candace traveled a lot with Jimmy. John was a doctor on the road with Jimmy. A lot of people, if you know and you see him here, Jimmy got him here. He's part of the Music Cares thing. He helped. He's helped me with things. I became vegan. I'm like, vitamin B12 shot. But one of the things, Dr. John, he adored you so much, and he to the very end, to the very last breath with Jimmy LaFave, Dr. John helped him manage his care and helped him talk with doctors and with his partner, with Ashley, with Barb, and it was a huge, important part of people in his life that he loved and that made a difference, and he wanted to share with them. And I think sometimes as an agent we're a little bit on the sidelines, but I just want Dr. John in the hat back there. That is a man that he loved so incredibly deeply, and who really dressed wounds and really helped him navigate from the moment it was a pebble, the size of a pebble, to the last day that he was here on this plane. So I just wanted to make sure that I tell you how much I love you and that how much you meant to Jimmy too. So
Thank you very much.
anyway, Grant. I think you're just going like.
I'm just gonna stand up here and sing.
All right.
There's still buffalo tracks, the red dirt back, the hills that he called home. The Cimarron Sun still sets in the west, right where it belongs. Yeah, it looks the same, like nothing's changed since the day he up and went. When he took that ride to the other side on a wild Oklahoma wind. And it's hard to know when to let go, when to hold right on to every memory. But it sure was sweet, all that time we had with you, and now we're down in dealing with late Jimmy LaFave. And now and then the family and friends get together and they sing old songs. They laugh and play and they sing and dance, try to act like nothing's wrong. But it sure is strange to explain to a room full of things unsaid. What with everybody hoping that door will swing open and Jimmy will just walk back. Yes, it's hard to know when to let go, with you. But now they're down in Ealing with the late Jimmy LaFave. And they see your face at night and the stars see you playing on that black guitar. And here it is, it's late July, you're still not ready to say goodbye. It's hard to know when to let go, and when to hold right on to every memory. But it sure was sweet, man, all that time we had with you. Now we're down in Ealing with the late Jimmy LaFave. Trying to reason with the late Jimmy LaFave.
One of the things that during Jimmy's career that we decided to take a break from, he was between records and decided to do this this small little production that we called The Ribbon of Highway and the Skyway, which was basically like herding gerbils. And we did this thing where we kind of picked people we want to be on the road with and hang out with. And I knew who Ellis Paul was and, knew the music, and we knew each other, but we got to like live together for like years in a way, on and off, 6 weeks here, 2 weeks here, 1 week here, a weekend here. And incredible, beautiful memories.
Yeah. Wow, that's
Well,
loud.
someone like dial around the names of the monitor.
I think we'll find it.
Yeah. There we go.
Jimmy and I loved each other in a way that was artistic, even more than a friendship. It was like we had this shared love for songwriting and Woody Guthrie. And for me, being a New Englander, I'm from Maine, to be invited into this Okie, Texas clan as an outsider was an enormous gift. It's changed my life, and changed my writing, and what an honor just to hear him sing, every time he put his mouth on the microphone, it just seemed like the world melted away. And he's still my favorite male singer, and always will be. And I got invited to sing at the memorial at the Paramount, and I had a gig that night. I canceled the gig and flew down. And he wanted me to sing God's Promise. It was too much. I know I wasn't going to be able to get through it, and I got asked to do it tonight. I know I'm not going to get through it, so I'm not going to do it. And I said, Jimmy, I'm just not going to, I couldn't do it. So I decided that it would be a tribute in a way for him to hear a song that he'd never heard before, because he was moving on, and I wanted him to hear whatever I could tell him about the future that was coming with me, and that song was the first of the new batch. And I knew I could get through it because it had nothing to do with struggle or death. It's about love. And so I'm going to do that now because I know I can get through it. And these guys are going to play, hopefully, roughly in tune. Is it close? It's close enough for 3 a.m., but 3 p.m. maybe not. If it's just bad, just back off. It's not gonna happen. Hold on here.
Okay, I don't feel so bad.
Two.
He taught me that joke.
And the one in the cellar, the million cellar.
Actually, the woman who did the slideshow, her son came up with that.
Really? It was great. He was proud of it like it was his
All right. Ain't no Jesus, never saved a soul, never walked on water, except ice and snow. There's a rumor in the choir, I'm just the luckiest guy they know. But ain't no Jesus, never saved a soul. Ain't no Buddha, I struggle with wrong from right. Ain't no Prince of Peace, I've hit the floor in a good bar fight. I'll ask forgiveness come Sunday, asking for trouble Saturday night. But ain't no Buddha, I struggle with wrong from right. No, I can't walk on water, can't part the sea. The only miracle that I've seen is you walking down the aisle of me. No, I can't talk to God, I ain't divine. The only miracle that I've seen is I can call you mine. Ain't no carpenter, I'm more sailing and saint. I'll put a hammer on the thumb, yeah. Swear so loud they close heaven's gates. But I built you a four-post bed, now darling, don't make me wait. I ain't no carpenter, I'm more sailor than saint. No, I can't walk on water, can't part the sea. The only miracle that I've seen is you walking down the aisle of me. No, I can't talk to God, I ain't divine. The only miracle that I've seen, I can call you mine. Ain't no savior, ain't got the words. How do you preach to the masses when you can't even talk to a girl? You get a little courage from holy wine, but then your speech gets slurred. Ain't no savior, I ain't got the words. If I close my eyes, I conjure Jimmy. Now I can't walk on water, can't part the sea. The only miracle that I've seen is you walking down the aisle. I can't talk to God. I ain't divine. The only miracle that I've seen is I can call you mine. The only miracle that I've seen is I can call you mine. I can call you mine.
One thing that I want to make sure that I do, because Jimmy would have done it, I'd like to the gals in the back that are doing our sound, incredible job, really beautiful. And I know you guys you're students, right? Are you guys students? You did an incredible, beautiful job, and Jimmy would have made sure that he knew your names, and I don't know them. What are your names?
I'm Michaela.
Michaela?
Yes. My name's Genevieve.
And Genevieve. He would have asked your names actually before he got on stage, so he would have been able to thank you by name, but I want to thank you for doing a beautiful job on the sound today, really, truly. So this is one of this, we're going to finish out, and you know, people that come together, like sing together, you kind of feel like it's like we come as strangers and you kind of leave as friends. And one of the things I really learned from Jimmy while we did the Ribbon of Highway, Endless Skyway, was the whole sing-along and the whole getting people to come together. This was a song that Gretchen Peters wrote. Jimmy also recorded it and absolutely loved it. And it's one of those ones you can find where you belong, and we're gonna do it.
This lamb has gone astray. Come and wash my sins away. Gonna wash my sins away.
Thank you so much, everybody. And as Jimmy would say, it was all that's really important is that you make sure you hug people a lot. And he goes, but you need to really mean it. So as you're hugging people for the rest of the weekend, do it in the spirit of Jimmy LaFave and really mean it. He would tell you all at this point, I love y'all, he'd say, and have a great conference, everybody. Enjoy. Thanks for coming.